Well, time for us to take a look at the current affairs and some of our analysis on the stories that we did come across. In a show of force, the newly elected Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse accompanied a large law enforcement contingent on raids on Johannesburg inner city nightclubs and bars, shutting down several for violating COVID-19 emergency regulations. She says, we can't allow business people to kill people like this. I'm not happy. I'm extremely concerned. I think we need to make a statement, a very strong statement. This is unacceptable. These were the words of the newly elected Johannesburg Mayor, Dr. Mpho Phalatse, as law enforcement officials conducted a raid in a crowded bar in Johannesburg CBD the Friday evening. With the increase in COVID-19 cases in Gauteng, the operation was focused on places of entertainment, enforcing COVID regulations and checking safety compliance. Phalatse, with Council Speaker Vasco da Gama and Acting City Manager Floyd Brink, joined the Johannesburg Metro Police Department, the South African Police Services, Emergency Management Services, Environmental Health, and Southern African Music Rights Organization on Operation Nightlife. Phalatse said it's just a matter of time before the fourth wave is here. It is the festive season, but over and above that, there is the Omicron variant. So the numbers are skyrocketing. On Friday, we were talking about 16,000 cases or so in Gauteng alone. And we can only guess that the most of these cases are in Johannesburg. We need to take responsibility for each other's lives. So we will be sending out a very strong statement. A strong statement was sent out as a few establishments were shut down that evening. The operation's first stop was Shisanyama on the corner of Main and Risick Street, packed to capacity with no physical distancing. It was a matter of minutes before the place was shut down. Smoke from hookah pipes filled the air in the basement, converted into a VIP section. There was no ventilation. Now, several plainclothes officers brandished automatic rifles as they stood in strategic positions watching over the mayor, but patrons continued drinking and smoking. A few blocks away at Majestic Bar, a man asked, do you know how much this is a mask? Can the government give us masks? As he mocked the enforcement officials, he was clearly under the influence of alcohol. The establishment did not have a floor plan and was immediately shut down after being noticed or served a notice by EMS. At Andy's Corner nightclub and adult entertainment venue further downtown, strippers left the stage when they saw the place being raided. They hurried into the change room and got dressed while patrons continued drinking and having a good time, seemingly unfazed by the huge contingent of police officers. The acting city manager, Mr. Brink, said there are high levels of resistance from party goers and nightclub owners. We always have a tough time entering places with party goers. You become a party pooper, but it's not the case. We are in tough times. So Brink described the evening as a clear disregard for the law and disaster regulations. Here you find the owners of clubs and nightclubs that are really just out there to make money, at the same time compromising the health and safety of people. The patrons did not need to be bothered as they stood in the hallway laughing and joking. An officer yelled at them to wear their masks, and one officer said it's because of these things that there's COVID. They don't care. Phalatse later told the Daily Maverick, a lot of people are really pushing boundaries. They think we are sleeping on the job. Well, I've got a message for them, she said. That's the JMPD is not sleeping, and we will do raids on these clubs night after night until they get the message. Well, we are living in difficult times, so it is time, really, for somebody to do something about it. And if it's going to be the first step that a new mayor takes in order to establish themselves and to push the boundaries of what is acceptable and not, well done to the mayor for that. We need more decisive action. I think this is going to be, if it's not a token doing, but more of a strategy that the mayor is adopting, I'm behind it, actually. We need regulations and we need things. As much as we want to revel and enjoy ourselves, we need to understand that we are running a risk as well if we don't do it carefully. Russia is concerned with the worsening security situation in Afghanistan. To avert further escalation, it is ready to use diverse means of aversion. Russia has a fundamental interest in Afghanistan. 3 Central Asian countries, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan, are members of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, the CSTO. As a member of the CSTO, Russia guarantees the security of these three countries and maintains military bases and facilities on their territory. The possibility of international terrorist groups from Afghanistan crossing the border into Central Asia is seen as a serious threat within the CSTO. Fending off groups of armed insurgents attempting to cross the borders, especially the Tajik-Afghanistan border, is a key element of CSTO's mission when it comes to Central Asia. At one point, intense dialogue was underway between the CSTO and NATO regarding potential cooperation on an anti-terrorist and anti-drug agenda in connection with Afghanistan. The Secretary General of the CSTO, Nikolai Bordziuza, said even offered assistance to NATO in the matter. For example, as Operation Enduring Freedom was taking place in Afghanistan, Moscow approved 3 expansions of military bases belonging to the US and NATO member states on the soil of the CSTO countries in Central Asia. Until relatively recently, it is allowed it has allowed also the transit of non-lethal cargo projectiles through the Russian city of Ulyanovsk. Now, the port of Riga acting as the main transfer hub. These steps could have facilitated dialogue between Russia and the North Atlantic Alliance, but unfortunately, NATO was only prepared to partner with members of the CSTO state on a bilateral basis at the time. So, of course, in the context of the current new Cold War, no such partnership between CSTO and NATO is possible. But Europe should be aware that the CSTO has been fulfilling and continues to fulfill a certain function of the Afghanistan border that is conducive to international stability. KwaZulu-Natal Premier Sihle Zikalala is worried that young people in the province are not returning for their second COVID-19 jab. Zikalala is pleading with the youth to get fully vaccinated. COVID-19 cases have been increasing rapidly in the country. Health authorities say the increase in the number of cases is driven by more transmittable Omicron variant. South Africa has more than 11,000 new COVID-19 cases. And so they are requesting, and we are humbly reminding you, that if you have gotten your first jab, go for your second one, finish the process, and get yourself as close to getting fully vaccinated as possible. The drama in Formula One. Stewards at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix have handed down a 10-second penalty to Red Bull's Max Verstappen following Sunday's chaotic and controversial race in Jeddah. The stewards concluded that Verstappen was predominantly to blame for the crash with title rival Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton would go on to win the race with Verstappen finishing second. The season's final race will take place in Abu Dhabi next weekend. Meanwhile, 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton lashed out at title rival Max Verstappen after Sunday's gripping Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, describing the Dutchman as over the limit. Mercedes driver Hamilton won a dramatic race under lights at Jeddah Street Circuit, but only after several close run-ins with Verstappen. He says, I really had to try to keep my cool out there, which was really difficult to do, said Hamilton. Excuse me. A frog in my throat. I have raced a lot of drivers in my 28 years of racing. I've come across a lot of characters. There's a few that are over the limit. The rules don't apply. Verstappen's over the limit for sure. I have avoided collision on so many occasions with the guy. I don't mind being the one who does that because you get to live another day. It doesn't matter for him if we finish or we don't. It does for me. The tense battle culminated in a late collision when Hamilton, apparently unaware that Verstappen had been ordered to give up the lead after an illegal maneuver shortly before, hit the Red Bull as it braked in front of him. Red Bull maintained that Verstappen was simply following instructions, while Mercedes intimated, in fact, that the Dutchman was brake testing. I don't understand why he hit the brakes quite so heavily, so I ran into the back of him, said Hamilton. I don't get the information. It was very confusing. A visibly annoyed Verstappen, however, denied any wrongdoing in the incident. Stewards gave Verstappen a 5-second penalty for an earlier incident and were investigating the decision. Oxalayo. Hamilton won the race, and they're all tied up with points now, so it's literally coming down to the last race. Very interesting stuff, and very well done to Lewis Hamilton for being able to keep his cool. Champion styles. In Johannesburg, Higher Education Minister Blade Nzimande has urged Northwest Police to investigate the drowning of 2 Orbit TVET students in a hotel pool in Potchefstroom. It is understood that Magdalene Manyama and KG Melamu were attending a student representative council retreat at the Country Venue Hotel when they drowned. Nzimande has directed officials to provide necessary support to the institution's SRC members, college staff, and students. The minister's spokesperson, Ishmael Mnisi, said the minister is pleased that the college management undertook to give its full support and cooperation to the investigation to determine the exact cause of this incident. Minister Nzimande urges law enforcement agencies to swiftly investigate the circumstances which led to this tragic development. Speaking from Ghana, President Cyril Ramaphosa and the NCCC will meet this week to discuss, among other issues, a report from the task team to set up to explore vaccine mandates. Ramaphosa briefed reporters on Sunday night after a 2-day visit to Accra, Ghana, and en route to Senegal for government's 4 nations trip to West Africa. During last week's national address, the president said the committee, chaired by his deputy David Mabuza, was tasked with holding discussions with various sections of society on the feasibility on the move, which could see unvaccinated people blocked from accessing certain services. The NCCC could meet as early as Wednesday with Ramaphosa, stressing that there needed to be a report on the table as he wanted the vaccine mandates to matter concluded quickly. Finally, further afield in our beautiful continent of Africa, we head to Gambia. The Independent Electoral Commission presiding officer, Musa Mbiye, told journalists that there were no major problems during the vote. The Gambia's incumbent president, Adama Barrow, appeared on course for re-election Sunday as partial results for most districts placed him in the lead after Saturday's crucial polls for the young democracy. Nearly 1 million registered voters were expected to drop marbles into one of the 6 ballot bins, each adorned with the face and name of a candidate. The candidates include the incumbent president, Adama Barrow, who defeated Jammeh in 2016 as an opposition leader. The commission chair, Aliou Momar Njie, said that elections results would be announced on Monday, which is today, and all presidential candidates vowed to strengthen the country's tourism-dependent economy amid the coronavirus pandemic. So fewer Gambians feel compelled to travel the dangerous migration to Europe. That brings us to the conclusion of our current affairs, and we'll keep going with more of the same just after this.
We are